Okay, folks, good morning. I'm Rolly Inman. I'm probably one of the older guys around this club. I'm one of the founding members of the organization. We started this club in 1983. And we held our first sanctioned shoot in about that year, 1983. As you can see down beyond there, it is all strictly bush, and that's what it was when we started this range. And with a lot of hard work and an awful lot of volunteer work, volunteer stuff from various companies, we were able to get the range as to what it is today. It's one of the better ranges in northeast Alberta. A few do's and don'ts. We're going to be going through this with you very briefly this morning. First of all members and guests must sign the registration book inside the clubhouse prior to using the facilities. It doesn't matter what you're going to be using. If you're shooting rifle, pistol, or if you're shooting shotgun, whatever, you must sign in. That is mandatory, and boy, we are very strict on that. Now, here's some of the things here. For example, firearms may only be loaded at the firing line. We do not want to see anybody going around there with loaded firearms or whatever on off the firing line. When two or more people are on an active firing line, one person must be designated as a range officer. Those of you who've written the firearms safety course realize that this is one of the questions that were on your federal firearms license application. It was exams were this. So somebody acted as the range officer. The reason for this, we don't want anybody going out there to set targets up when there is somebody loading guns behind the firing line or on the firing line. That is not appreciated at all by anybody. Only approved targets may be shot at. Absolutely no bottles or cans. Bottles, let's face it, bottles are glass. When we have to have a cleanup out there, I, for one, cut grass out there, and if I blow a tractor tire or whatever, that's $1,000, $1,300, whatever. We don't want any glass out there whatsoever, none whatsoever. All unattended or racked firearms must have an open action or be cased. The reason for that is quite simple. An open firearm cannot hurt anybody. All trash and spent ammo must be picked up before leaving the range. This is just common sense, folks. It's a car courtesy thing. We don't want to be going out there and see a whole bunch of trash left all on the shooting range, or a bunch of empty casings, shotgun hulls, or whatever have you on the range, on the floor, and under the shooting positions. So please pick it up, take it home with you, or there's places out there for to put it in, garbage cans and pails for empty brass and so on. A lot of people reload, they want to use this brass again. Okay, members shall not lend their range access key. Everybody that belongs to this club must have a key. There's two gates. There's one we just saw at the top, plus this one here. The one key fits everything. Fits both gates. It also gives you access into the clubhouse to sign in. And now, if you are caught giving this key out, you will be supremely disciplined, because it is not allowed. Our insurance does not allow this. We don't allow it. That's next thing here is the BSSA property is a game sanctuary. It's not a hunting area. This is private property. And people are out here that abuse this. We don't appreciate it at all. We've had the game out here. There's deer out in here. There's grouse out here. There's rabbits out here. We like to see them out there. So remember, it is not a hunting property. Okay, folks, I think what we're going to do now, we're going to go through this main gate and go down to the clubhouse and go through the actual ranges. We'll see you down there. folks, we're back here at the shooting range right now, and Mr. Miller, Jimmy Miller, is our president of Bonnyville Shooting Sports Association. Jimmy's going to be doing some grass cutting. I'm going to be doing a bit more orientation with you folks this morning, and we are going to sign in as of now. That is a must. Okay, folks, as we sign in, we have the date, our name, the time that we enter the range, and for the purpose. If it's rifle, shotgun, grass cutting, work, whatever, and your membership number is over here. And as you can see, I'm number 7, so I guess I'm an old timer. We're up in the thousands now, I believe. So that is the sign-in book. Okay, now not only do the members, we insist that the guests sign in too. We have to know who is out here. Now, those people who do not sign in are subject to discipline. If you are caught out on the pistol range, for an example, and you have not signed in, you can expect to possibly lose your range privileges. The same thing if we encourage children to come out here. When I say children, 8, 9, 10 years, not any younger, to take an active part. I sponsor a youth shoot every year, and this youth shoot is great for these kids. We started with 8 or 9, now we're up to about 30 of these kids. Anyway, they're safe shooters. We like that. We do not want to see children running around out here on their own. If they're caught running around out here, and apparently this has happened, I catch the odd person that does not sign in, and they get supremely disciplined for it. But if there's kids out here running around, it's not safe. We as a club have that authority to cease your membership or recall your membership to the club. And that's it. You turn your key in, you are no longer a member. Now, when this does happen, if and when it happens, there's 2 things that occur. First of all, you turn your key in, you're no longer a member of a gun club. You do not have a legal place to shoot a handgun. So therefore, if you lose your license or you lose your range privilege, you can also lose your license for a handgun. You cannot fire it anymore. So the police will be there and say, you don't have a place, turn it in. It's not so strict perhaps with rifles, but every 5 years, your license must be renewed. And the CFO does check on this. They do check on it quite regularly. So these are things that we want you to be well aware of. There is strict regulations, but abide by them and you have no problems. Okay, back at it again, folks. This range usage is at the risk of the user. The BSA and its executive and members accept no responsibility for injuries or damages from accidents which occur on this range or club property. I'm not going to go through word by word, but discipline is very important. We require, and it's all about safety. Careful handling of firearms at all times, and caution in moving about on the range. Range officers, we have designated range officers at BSSA, and these officers have control during official functions and also during non-public operations. These designated range officers will undertake to ensure safe usage of the range, and that's the ones that we ask you if you're signed in. If you're not signed in, expect to get supremely chewed out. And possibly, again, as I say, there is a possible repulsion of the cause of your license to be revoked. Hunting, of course, as I mentioned at the other place up on top of the hill. This is sort of a strict game preserve. We have deer out here, we have various animals and birds out here. We want to keep them out here, and it is private property. You got to remember that. If you're caught out here shooting at game, you are trespassing and can be charged accordingly. No alcoholic beverages. I don't have to say any more about that. If we come out here and we find somebody staggering around with a gun, you can be sure that you probably end up in jail overnight. We don't tolerate that whatsoever. Specific rules for the BSA range location. That goes just as it says right there. Other than one transporting between shooting locations and storage, vehicle area, firearms, they shall all be stored in a safe and secure manner. At no time will unsafe handling be tolerated and may be grounds for expulsion from the range at the discretion of the range officer. And again, I don't have to tell you, and if it's concerning handguns, it is a very severe thing, because without a range certificate where you can go to shoot your handguns, and that's the only place you can shoot them, you would be expected to probably turn in for destruction. Over here, areas of usage, we'll be going down shortly to the rifle range, and there again, it's all firearms or calibers are okay. The handgun range is just back over here. Again, all handguns and rimfire rifles only. Black powder rifles or firearms may be used under specific circumstances, such as in sanctioned shoot or whatever. Then we have a trap range and a skeet range farther over at the end over there. Either conventional or muzzle loading, trap range, as long as it's shot shells. And then, of course, the archery range. No firearms are allowed in the archery range, just strictly archery. Target usage, I mentioned it before, paper targets. This is the only type of target supplied by the BSA, and that's the only ones that shall be used. Absolutely no glass. That's dangerous. Clay pigeons of the approved type only shall be used in the club thrower equipment. Don't be using stuff that's not approved. Any flicker type target, for example, tin can, plastic bottles, or containers, must be cleaned up at the finish of the shooting session. Don't leave them out there for somebody else to do. Pick them up. These are the various types of targets that we do have here. B-28s or silhouette targets, that's police style targets. We used to use those for qualifications on CPP shooting and the likes of that. They're restricted to use on the handgun range only. Targets are supplied on the honor system. You're expected to pay for them at the posted rate, which is $1.50, $1 for the bigger ones, 50 cents for the smaller ones. And if you are using your own targets, fine and dandy. If you printed out a bunch of your own, they can be used as long as they're paper. But as I said, no glass, absolutely none. If you have any questions and when you're concerned about this, you contact any member of the shooting club, President Jimmy Miller or Ken Romanuk is our chairman, secretary, or myself for that matter, Ole Inman. We'll be only too happy to fill you in. Okay, let's go down to the rifle range and we'll show you that.
This is the 100 meter.
Yep, first is the 100 meter. Then the second target is a 200 meter, and the farthest one at the back is 300 meters. These are things here that, like empty brass, pick it up if you can. There are pails along, as you can see, there are pails here to put your empty brass in. People may want to reload it. I have been reloading for years. For an example, here's a 30-06 casing that somebody could certainly use if they're reloading. And the same with these. So what we do, throw them in the pail, they're cleaned up, the range is clean, and it looks a lot neater. Okay folks, this is our pistol range. As you can see, it's 50 meters. And we have roughly 10, 12, 14, 16 positions that we can shoot at. There's benches here. There's standing room only on the back here if you're doing combat shooting type. And these are some of the ranges. Actually on this range is handguns and rimfire rifles only to be used on this range, except during designated black powder events and competitions. Then we can use black powder firearms. Handguns may be carried holstered, unloaded on the range, in the designated areas during competitions and practices only. We don't want to see a bunch of people running around here like Rambo with guns and what have you hanging around everywhere. Targets shall be attached to designated target frames only. At no time shall targets be attached to the 25-meter barricade post. That is the 25-meter in between, and we have posts out there when you're shooting a PPC or police type shooting where you're using strong hand and weak hand. You're supposed to be looking around this post, so at no time will any targets be posted on them. They must be at the berm at the back. Anyone deliberately shooting shots at a 25-meter barricade post will be required to replace the post and may be subject to expulsion and or other penalties. We have to get tough with these folks. We don't want to be seen or have any accidents out here. Silhouette type targets are to be used only for PPC, competition and practice. Any other target style may be used when approved by the range officer. Metallic targets other than supplied by the range shall not be used. We don't want ricochets. We don't want the possibilities of the bullet coming back. We've had a problem out here supposedly. I didn't see it personally, but I was told it did. So we've done away with the metal targets. And do not deposit any fired or unfired shells in the waste barrels. Put this material only in supplied containers marked brass. And don't put garbage in the brass containers, because a lot of these brass containers, they're picked up and recycled. And again, this is our pistol range, and we're quite proud of it. This was the first range that we had built. We wanted, our first president was a constable, mounted police constable, by the name of Mike Lynn, and Mikey was a very, very good shooter, and he enjoyed the shooting sport tremendously, and he was a spearhead to get this whole range going. We're hoping that he'll be back here on the 30th anniversary, which is coming up in September. Yeah, I know he is retired now from the mounted police, but anyway, Mikey was a great man and did a lot of work out here with us. Again, this is our, like I say, it's a good pistol range. Just a little ways over here, we have another short range. This was 25 meter, and it was designed for basic PPC, not PPC, but IPSC type shooting. It's just getting off the ground, so to speak. We've got to get enough interest. This range is busy, very, very busy, very, very busy. We have people out here just about every day of the week shooting. Folks, I mentioned at the pistol range that we had a problem with youngsters getting into trouble out here. Now, here just last week, I'm told there was two kids that went in here with a boat. Now, this pond has trout in it, and it's about 25 feet deep. We certainly don't want a problem with them. This trout pond is off limits to everybody. Okay, folks, we're at the shotgun range now, and this particular range here is a skeet range. We just finished putting it up this year. It's been used a few times, not very much as you can see. Still, but it does work. And those of you who've shot skeet, you know what it's all about. You've got two birds coming out, play targets at the same time basically, and you shoot your positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions here, and then shoot so many rounds at each one. I'm pretty rusty at skeet, I'll be honest about that. But it is a good club, good sport, and the club's quite happy with it. On this side over here, we have the trap range. I'll just walk over here in front of you folks. Over here, I've shot many shots of rounds of trap. And again, the scorekeepers are on the chairs. You start shooting from various positions. You shoot 5 rounds at each position for a total of 25 rounds for each round of trap. And the birds come out of that little trap house down there, and we're all automated here. We have voice-controlled target or throwers, if you wish. So you get your shotgun ready, and you say pull, and as soon as you say pull, it automatically comes out, and you don't know whether the bird's going to go straight sideways, straight ahead, or which way. So it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. And then if you don't want to do the trap and you come out on your own, there is a handheld trap machine over at the other side, which can still be used for the individual that doesn't want to take part in the production ones here. Again, skeet and trap range, we have some rules and regulations here too, folks. 10 gauge shotguns are maximum allowed in this trap range. I don't think I've ever seen an 8 or a 6 gauge. I'm not man enough. I weigh over 200 pounds. I don't think I'm man enough to hold it. But a 10 gauge kicks you hard enough. But that's the maximum we want. Number 6 or smaller shot to be used for trap and target. If you are not sure how to use it, please ask to be checked out, and we will show you how to use it prior to your usage. Birds, clay pigeons shall be of approved commercial type. Don't bring some, again, glass ones, I don't think there's any more of them around, but there was at one point in time glass pigeons, which were a terrible thing. Absolutely no glass targets of any type be used on this range either. Remember, glass is dangerous. It's got to be picked up, and people just don't do this. Empties shall be picked up from the firing positions. If not wanted, place them in a designated receptacle on site. There's a lot of people that do reload their shotgun shells, and they appreciate getting these hulls, and we can give them lots of them. Any hulls that they want, by all means, come in, let us know, and we will save them for you if you come pick them up. No rifles or rifle slugs to be used on this range whatsoever. Rifle slugs, folks, are hunting slugs. They're not considered as sporting trap or skeet. And I think that pretty well covers it up for our visit out here to the range. We have an archery range just back a little out behind here. It has an elevated stand, and it's got a 50-meter range. You can put your targets up there. I think everybody has shot trap. We don't have an awful lot of archery, I should say. We don't have an awful lot of archery shooters here, but we do have a few. And because of that, we've made them a range. So with that, folks, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and we'll see you. Have a safe shooting.